back, so we're going to start the November 15th meeting of the Tufton Borough Planning Board. Typically what we do is we just, in the beginning, we have a quick question, see if anyone has any general planning board questions that are quick. Then what we'll do is we'll proceed through the different things that are on the schedule tonight. We have Merrimack Valley, Ed and Melvin Dean, Justin Tetherly, and that's about it right now for applications. And then in the end, we'll have another public session to see if anybody has any questions for planning board related items or things like that. The way the applications work, if it's a new application, is you read out the name, tax map, such and so forth. The applicant, the board decides to accept jurisdiction or not accept jurisdiction. The applicant presents their application, and butters or anybody has the right to state your name, where you are, and speak for, against, or anywhere in between. Normally, if there's questions, it goes back and forth a few times. Before we do that, we do open a public session, we close the public session, the board talks about it, and we go through it. So before we start, does anybody have any questions for the board or nothing? Okay. So the first thing on the agenda tonight is Merrimack Valley Development Corp. If everybody remembers the previous meeting, there was an issue with notification of the butters. So they did an informal meeting with the board. It's a non-binding conversation that an applicant can do with the board. At that time, there was some questions brought up, and the questions were basically that this subdivision was part of a larger subdivision that happened on Durgan Road. The original subdivision is called
Tufton Farms.
Tufton Farms. It went, I don't think there's any other way to describe it, but it was an interesting event. The development went bankrupt, portions of it were bought out, such and so forth. The questions were, what they had an existing approval on the subdivision to do an extension, which was originally phase 3, conditional approval. And they decided what they would like to do was to come back and do basically what would be a 2-lot subdivision, one existing lot, come back with 2. The board felt, and at the time, that it was wise for the board to get a legal opinion because the subdivision was so complicated. What was this, even though it's now a town road and you're allowed to have 3 driveways off of a town road, what requirements would they have since there's people on this road who get special assessments and such and so forth? So we did get a legal opinion back. It did raise some questions.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is the board already has copies of it.
Yep.
And I'd like the board to, before we get going, because there's going to be a question on how you would like to continue with this.
Yep.
Would like a vote from the board on releasing it to the public, and then we'll release it to the applicant, and I'll read it aloud.
That will be open to the public.
I second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is going to be a little long. If you have a copy, anybody would like a copy?
You have a picture, Tom? Great, thank you.
So we asked 2 questions of the board. One was 2 questions of the town's planning board attorney. One was, what were they going to be required, because of the existing situation with the subdivision, and the other was we had a question because there was an easement, the dominant parcel in the rear with Ossipee traveling over a servient parcel, which would the creation of a servient parcel, and what effect that would have as far as it would have to be platted, and also what effect that might have because you're only allowed 3 driveways.
3 lots on
3 lots on 1 driveway, and if that's their only access, would we in fact be creating a non-buildable lot? So I'm just going to read this. The planning board has asked my opinion on whether Merrimack Valley Development Corp's proposed subdivision would violate the provisions of Section 4 of the Tufton Borough Subdivision Regulations. For the reasons set forth below, it is my considered opinion that it would. At the outset, I noted that the planning board revoked the approval of former lots, maps 128, 129, and 130 not identified on the plan, 131, 132, 133, 134, and a portion of what is now Shawview Road, so that those lots and the portion of the road no longer exist. The plan submitted to the planning board shows proposed lots 128 and 129, existing lot 1-27, and Ospey tax map 240. Lot 4 is having access over Shawview Road, which is shown as a 50-foot wide private right-of-way. Shawview Road, which provides access to 4 house lots, would not qualify as a private driveway as the terms is defined in section 4.4.2A of the subdivision regulations. Rather, it would constitute a residential access road and would need to be constructed in accordance with the requirements of section 4.5.4. When the property was conveyed to Merrimack Valley Development Corp. by quitclaim deed of TBE Companies LLC dated October 22nd, 2013, and recorded at book 3114, page 373. The conveyance was subject to the declaration of restrictive covenants dated September 28, 2007, and recorded at the book 2664, page 277, both at the Carroll County Registry of Deeds. Thus, the development of the property must comply with the restrictive covenants. Paragraph 15.J of the covenant states, all utilities installed at any home must be placed underground. No poles and lines will be permitted. Paragraph 19 includes a statement that the roads and streets will be built to the specifications established by the town of Tufton Borough for public streets. A performance guarantee covering the cost of road construction and other improvements should be posted at the town as required by section 3.4 of the subdivision regulations. You also have asked my opinion regarding the right-of-way served in Ossipee Tax Map 240 Lot 4. For the reasons set forth below, it is my opinion that the owner of Tax Map 240 Lot 4 and Merrimack need to address the location of the right-of-way. That right-of-way is described in the foreclosure deed of James P. Logan to James P. Logan dated February 7, 2011, and recorded at book 2914, page 748, as and together with said 118-acre tract, a single permanent right-of-way and easement. I don't know how to spell that. Say that appurtenant, not less than 50 feet in width and suitable for a road. Exact location to be hereafter determined on, over, across adjoining land as Zaida. For use as public or private road for the benefit of said 118-acre tract, to provide for free and unfettered motor vehicle and pedestrian access to and from said 118-acre tract and to and from a public road in Tufton Borough, New Hampshire. It is my understanding that the exact location of the right-of-way has not been determined as pre-described in the easement language. Since the right-of-way impacts one of the proposed lots in the subdivision, it needs to be accurately shown on the plan. If the right-of-way is to be shown on the plan and is identified as the right-of-way serving tax map 240 Lot 4, then that could be viewed as determining its location. However, the easement is not reserved to the owner of the property over which the right-of-way runs the right to unilaterally determine its location. The resolution of right-of-way issues does not fall within the purview of the planning board. It is my opinion that the two property owners need to resolve the location issue or at least come to an arrangement regarding it. Should you have any questions, please let me know about your vote. So basically, as I read this, there's 2 issues. One is that it's the planning board's attorney's opinion that some of the covenants were still binding on this lot, and 2, that the right-of-way issue with that lot possibly would need to be resolved. So,
If I can just jump in.
sure, absolutely.
And just for the record, David Jordan with MHF Design Consultants. We are working to address the right-of-way location, formalize it with a legal description. So that's in process, and that's our intent. And we can note that on the plan, whatever plan eventually gets approved and recorded, we'll note that appropriately.
Well, I think the issue is that if we have, if this is their only access through the
Mhm.
property,
It's a 4th lot.
No, I understand the issue. I'm saying,
Okay, yeah,
that issue
no.
aside, we'll address the easement rights that the Ospey lot owner has. But yeah, we still need to talk about the fact that we really have a 4-lot subdivision here at this point.
right, so what our question was, or I think, let me ask the board, and this is with you as well, would you like to continue this as a preliminary, in which case the clock would not start ticking?
Yep.
Or would you like us to start the application process, assume jurisdiction and such and so forth?
Once the clock starts, you have 65 days, is that correct? Is it-
It was 90.
I think it's
90
90
days.
days.
I believe it's 90 days.
What happens then is we don't have to renotice because it's
Right.
continued.
Exactly, yeah. I think I'd prefer just that you open it, start the clock, and understand that we're probably not gonna resolve anything tonight.
No, there's a
But-
lot out there.
Um,
But it may be good, you know, we can hear from the butters who might have,
Yep.
you know, things, and we can go from there.
Yep,
So,
okay.
okay. So one thing I did forget to do right at the beginning is Merrimack Valley Development Corp. Tax Map 60-1-2, comma 29, comma 30, comma 31, comma 32, comma 33, and comma 34. And I believe we have the application and,
Well, actually, the application's right here,
Oh.
but if you want.
all right. And we have determined that the application, oh, I'm sorry. Application is complete other than the things we have just talked about. And I have a motion from the board to accept jurisdiction over the application.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. You're up.
I don't know how you wanna do this. I have a large plan I can put up. I got
Mr.
small plans.
Yeah, let's put the big one up.
I also have small ones I can hand out if anybody would like them. All right, so as we had talked about last month, what Merrimack Valley is looking to do is to essentially consolidate what was 7 lots out here and re-subdivide it into 2 lots, and showing a private way coming in off of Black Bear Run and Sedata Farm Lane. That private right-of-way would not extend back as far as the previous Shawview Drive was shown on that prior subdivision plan. So we have essentially 2 13.5 acre lots, one at this location here, and then one over in that area. This private road also provides frontage and access for the Snyder Living Trust lot. That's an existing lot from the original subdivision plan. That lot exists. We would intend to give that lot access or easement rights over this roadway to formalize something that hadn't been resolved with the rescinding of the subdivision. As far as the Ossipee lot, so that lot sits back here. The easement that is shown for that lot, there was some discussion about this at the last meeting, and this is one thing that had changed. I think originally we had it kind of cutting across in this location. We are now showing it in the exact same location as where it was on the 7 lot subdivision plan. There was some belief that that's probably of all the locations, that's probably the one that's the most potentially viable given the topography out there. So again, that's the same location as what was shown on the previous Shawview Drive subdivision plan, and this is the right-of-way that we would formalize with that abutter and have it properly identified by meets and bounds and agreed to by both parties. So that's something that is in the works with Merrimack Valley's attorney, and they would work with the attorney of the abutter. So that's basically it. Obviously, we were intending on coming in with a private driveway. It sounds like that's not going to work with this scenario. So we will have to take another look at this from the standpoint of this being a residential street, residential access street. That's About it? Any questions? We have,
So if you come back with the street, are you gonna do for a town accepted road or just a private? Continue with private?
that only to talk to with the owner.
Because it'd be different than width, difference in width,
Yeah.
18 to 22 feet. So.
Yeah, 18 if it's private, 22 if it's town,
Correct.
yeah. Mhm.
I think it's a much more viable, you know, I think they'll do better on it by doing it this way as far as site rent versus the cost of development on the other one. I wish we didn't have these legal hiccups, but it's important for it to be done right.
No, understanding the history of the subdivision, we agree
Yes.
it's got to be done right.
Next
Oh,
question.
but we haven't opened the public session.
Yeah, as we said last month, I mean, we're really just trying to simplify things out here. And as you said, Mr. Chairman, do something that really makes sense for this land.
No, it looks great. I mean, they'll be beautiful lots.
Absolutely.
Has anybody got anything before we open it up? All right, we're gonna open the public session.
My name's Dave Ford. I am a butter on the corner, right there on the corner of the Data Farm Lane in Shoreview. So, this problem, this easement, I don't know if you know the history of Jim Dufresne. He was a character, and he created an easement to put a road in between here and Ossipee, but the question is, can a road be built to town standard? Because that would have to be a town standard road if they have 118 acres, whether it's one lot or potentially multiple lots. If it's going through the town of Tuftonboro, you would have to meet town standards, correct?
There's two standards, private road or a town accepted road. It's either 18 feet or 22 feet.
But the grades I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh,
So if you've walked out here, the land that he's talking about in Ossipee is really not developable.
Right.
And there's not a way you can build a reasonable road between point A and point B.
Right.
So this easement is messing up what would be a logical use of this property. Speaking as myself, probably the one to be most affected, because I'm right there, I think a low development 2-lot or 3-lot makes a lot of sense, and even if they kept it a gravel road, so they wouldn't have to, because if you tend to build it, then you're trying, the idea that someone could actually develop that land later on, you could build a town road to that. We don't want that, no one in our neighborhood would want that, and really, I don't even think it's technically feasible. Have you walked back there at all?
I haven't walked there myself, but even just looking at the plan, I would agree that it's technically, impossible to build a town standard road to get to the Ossipee lot.
So basically, it's an easement for a woodlot, so every 20
Does
years...
it say what the easement was for?
Well, this one
though?
say, I'm shocked, this is the first time I've seen it, because it does say suitable 50-foot wide, suitable for a road,
Yeah.
which Jim Dufresne was crazy, and he bought that line, he lost it all, and, again,
Right.
he's a nut, and we're left that legacy, and then isn't there something that can be done that would make some common sense? Because I think the idea, if someone wants to develop that later on, let them fight you later. Right now,
Right-of-ways and changes to right-of-ways are virtually impossible to change or abolish unless the dominant parcel wants to. I mean,
I was just gonna say the same thing, I mean,
It's-
we
it's
agree.
Just curious if that didn't go straight through there, because he developed these 3 years ago.
yes.
If that right of way didn't go all the way straight down here instead of going that way.
Just
I don't know what it
curious.
was, that's where the snowmobile machines go that way, they used to,
Right.
run the machines down the hill. But I always saw the right of way, when I bought it, that's the way the
Right.
right of way was presented, it was phase 3 of the original. It would have been Black Bear Run.
Right, but he did those 3 lots there years ago.
The ones on the backside, yeah, the first phase, yeah, I don't think he had a right of way through that. I thought it was always off as a data, that's what this says, it says off as a Data Farm Lane.
Right.
Right, but I mean before he built it.
Oh, I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what I mean.
Oh, I thought it was a landlocked, you think, you think it was, he treated
No,
it off?
I think it went straight through this, but he did
Oh,
these 3
that would
houses
make
out on
sense.
Sturgeon Road.
That makes sense.
And I think it
So
probably
he had
went
to-
straight up, and he
And
moved
cut
it
off.
because he
Provide an
probably got
alternate
his.
tie-in.
Oh, but still, the fact that you have, it's only as a
I'm not
back
surveyor,
one.
but
Yeah.
it just seems logical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But the
Makes
fact that
sense.
where he's trying to make it a subdivision, and
Right.
they're gonna make these guys build a bigger road, which means now they're gonna have to take my property, and seems overkill. But you guys gotta do what you gotta do, I guess, but.
you of all people know we got laws and rules.
Yeah, well, they're made to be broken, and there's also this regulations, that sometimes you can look at the regulations and say, what's the intent? You know, the idea, what you're here to do is protect our community, working within the rules, but sometimes it's gray areas, you know, and you gotta work with the gray areas, so hopefully we can come up with a logical solution that doesn't require them to build the original road, because
No, and I don't think that is what anybody's saying at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're just saying if it truly is, at least in theory, 4 lots on this road, then it needs to be a residential access street and not a private driveway.
which means it's gonna have to be paved, and you're gonna have to make it wider?
18 feet.
Yeah.
To
18 feet.
remain private. If it was gonna be town accepted, it had to be 22. It seems odd, come from an 18-foot road to a 10-2-foot road, but
But it
that's changed.
can't stay private if it's gonna have 4. Well, it can stay.
No,
private.
it's still private. It's just not a driveway, but it's a road, so it's gonna be up to specs. If it was a driveway, they could just
So it means it's gonna
blast
be
the
paved.
topsoil off,
It'll be
paved, 2-foot aprons, 18-foot
Yeah.
drivable, yeah.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't, you know. I just
Yeah,
hope
if
that,
that's the route we go, and that's basically the same section we have, it's just pavement as opposed to gravel.
Correct.
okay, you still could do the turnaround in that same location,
Yeah.
and let them worry about it
And we'll
later
give
on.
them an easement from the end of that turnaround out to,
Yeah, something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Provided
doesn't work, but-
provided whoever buys that lot to decide they wanna build it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Yeah,
put that,
At the top over there, that's,
it's brutal.
it is, yeah.
It was bad when we walked that years
Yeah.
ago.
can I ask another question? So back to then, if that can work, originally they had an easement because the road was gonna be cut in front of my property to get it down to the grade of the original layout.
Yeah.
So the profile is changing now, so you don't really need the easement that was encumbering my property along that front. And it looks like you've given it up on other properties, I was wondering whether or not, see, the grading line falls within the right of way?
Yeah, because they'd already done the cutting here, there's really no need to do any additional work on your property at this point.
Right.
I would agree.
Yeah, okay, and that does, because before they were blasting ledge and they had a lot more work to do, which is crazy, so
Yeah.
this, again, and the other thing, I would be in support of if they could work out the issues with the right of way. And the other thing was making sure that we still have the underground utilities, was that gonna be,
Yeah, we'd already said that we
We
were doing that.
require it.
okay, good.
Basically, the attorney was saying that the requirements of the original subdivision still stand.
Awesome, great. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? All right, so we're gonna close the public session. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
There's some homework to do. Come back.
Just paper.
That's right. Okay.
I'd like to I'm gonna make a motion to continue, unless you have anything else.
No, I'm all set,
Or,
thank you.
sorry, I'm gonna ask for a motion for continue.
So moved.
To a date certain, yes.
Do you think you'll have everything, do you want to continue it to December 20th?
I'd like to, yes. We need everything 3 weeks ahead, or is
22 days.
22 days?
Well, no, it's not a formal submittal now.
No,
Right,
it's
it's
gonna get already here.
So
Okay.
you can give it to us that week,
Okay, yeah, certainly then, what was the date again?
December 20th.
Yeah. that's-
So can I have a motion for continuance till December 20th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys, appreciate it. Yeah, have a good night, take care of some land.
All right, next up, we got Ed and Melanie Bean, tax map 16-2-20, two-lot subdivision.
Probably, that's, I think, that one.
Yeah, here we go.
Have your own. Should be.
What we have is in a, oh, that's totally.
Yeah, it's underneath. They're all together, like they're all, sorry.
What we have. 109 Sodom Road. Divide 109 Sodom Road in half and merge into lot 107 and 111. Is that right? Yep. Oh, yeah. Great. All right. The application was complete.
Yes.
All right. Can I get a motion to accept jurisdiction?
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What do you guys got?
Just trying to put the lot my father saved out back into the two original lots. And so we had to subdivide it in order to do it.
All right.
so it's kind of like a boundary line adjustment, so a subdivision.
So have you guys seen the big subdivision plan?
I haven't, no.
That's
Giving me heart failure
square in
here.
the front,
You have a copy there somewhere?
that's square,
Yep,
that's a separate lot.
yep.
So they're gonna put the line through the middle of it and.
And that was where the
Either
old
way.
house was, it was dug out.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's that, yeah, it's yep,
Maybe you have an extra plan there.
yep, absolutely.
Well, so it's still subdivision,
Yeah,
right, it's
so
just
hopefully
a boundary
Right.
adjustment, but
Put
yeah,
it
it's
back
boundary
into
line
it.
Yeah,
adjustment,
I was
so.
asking why.
Right,
Frank's lot into yours.
Okay,
I should go until.
so they're just putting that
now we know.
line between the two of them right through the other one, and then those two little pieces that are left are going onto each adjacent lot.
Oh, so that's why it's.
Right.
Oh,
It's still boundary line adjustment, but it's still subdivision.
Yeah,
So you're making this into one lot here then?
no, making this into two lots.
Oh, two lots, so this part goes to
Go
Melvin
back to
and
this
that
one,
one
go
goes
back
to
to
you.
this one.
Yeah, that makes
See,
sense.
this was the original line here,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and my father saved a piece off on each one.
Yeah.
All right,
Makes sense.
And because he was gonna register this as a lot, instead of just letting this, stay that way.
right.
So now.
Now you have to put it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll put it back.
Yeah, that sounds like a
There's no
yes.
problem.
Yeah.
All right, long bridge.
So no big subdivision.
No.
How many houses you can put there?
Right. I have it. They were still
I
getting
thought maybe one of
paid.
your kids was moving
No.
home and you wanted a house.
They were getting taxed on, I think they go 45,000 for that lot.
For that lot?
Yeah. So we gotta get time to do something with it.
All right, okay,
Yeah.
we got it, Ed. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna open the public session and see if anybody's got any questions.
No questions. We're all
Anybody?
clear now. Thank you.
Steve, you're usually good for one.
No, I think what they're doing is a good idea.
So we're gonna close the public
If they
session.
slope the banks properly.
Yeah. All right. Supposed to review the checklist. Does anybody on the board have any questions on this one? This one seems.
No, I mean,
Looks
this is a lot.
straightforward to me.
All right. Do we have any easements or waivers to deal with? I don't think we do. Any conditions that we need to put on, embellishment monuments, or?
Just one question, the gravel drive in the corner. This one here, is it still used?
No,
Who's this lot?
that's their lot.
So is there an easement for that? Written somewhere in the deed? I'm not just,
No,
No,
there
this
isn't.
right here,
There isn't.
it's just one of those things that's
It's
used.
been there for
Right,
long before we were there.
right. So you have the stone.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Okay. That's just my only question, but if there's no easement, it's just used and it's your, that's fine. So doesn't state anything, just curious. It's okay. You have a checklist here?
There's,
No?
we just need some conditions.
Is this?
Is there any pins set at all? I mean,
Are
it should
we-
be two.
Are we technically creating a new lot?
No.
No.
The only reason I ask is for grandfathering.
No, this is an existing lot in the middle. This is actually 3 lots right now.
Right.
They're taking the middle one and doing a boundary line adjustment, so one lot's actually gonna go
Boundary line
away.
adjustment's good.
Boundary line adjustment's considered subdivision in the eyes of the
But
state, but
there's
it's still
no-
one and the same.
The merger,
It's not a merger.
okay. I'm just thinking there's probably some grandfathered activities that would probably prefer to be grandfathered. So,
So all I can see that needs to be done is 2 monuments set. Do you know if they're set?
Hmm?
Is there any documentation that they're set?
No, we don't have any certificate, and
Okay.
they're not set on this plan.
Okay.
we can make
Yeah,
that
so
a
it should be
condition.
set.
We can make that a condition. of approval.
Yeah, so,
So you set the monument, certificate of monumentation, recording fees, and Mylar plan,
right.
and revised plan.
All right. Anybody got anything?
Two pins. Mylar.
4 revised, 4 paper
Yeah.
copies,
Right. and-
recording
Yeah.
fees, and certificate of monumentation.
Okay, the condition, can I get a motion to approve this conditional on the list that Leanne has right there?
So moved.
Second?
So we gotta read out
Right.
the conditions, if you would.
So revise the plan to reflect the setting of the monuments, set the monuments, provide a certificate of monumentation, provide a Mylar plan for recording, and provide recording
Did
fees.
you have a Mylar print already?
But it doesn't have, the Mylar does not show the setting of the monuments, I don't believe.
I think he had to mark where he's gonna put it, to be set at a later date.
So,
Needs a certificate of monumentation.
He'll get a copy.
That
He'll
certificate
get a
will have
copy
to
of
go
this.
with it.
it's Atlantic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get a copy of the, I'll provide a copy of the notice of decision for them.
So we got all of the conditions ready? Can I get I think we need a second?
Oh, we did.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Almost done.
Almost done.
Yes,
Survey, almost. Proud new owners of,
Nothing.
It only took 6 months.
they've already owned it. I'd eliminate one tax bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We deal with lots of people, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And it
it makes-
cleans things up.
It makes it a little more conforming,
Right.
It
you
does.
have more frontage.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we got Justin Tetherly, 177 Middle Road Trust, tax map 55-2-8, site plan review, construction of 30 by 40
That's 6
Middle.
months.
Justin,
Yes,
what do we got going?
want to put like 30 by 40 metal building out back.
All right,
The zoning board approval.
nice. Sorry to have you do that.
That's
Right
okay.
there.
Yeah,
Got it?
there we go. You didn't have any trouble there? All right, do we know if the zoning board put any restrictions?
I believe so.
No, they didn't put any.
No, approved as submitted.
Right, this needs store equipment.
It's not in there, but I do have it. But it's approved as submitted.
Can we get a copy of that for the file?
I have it, I just haven't put it in the file.
Okay.
I did get a copy from Jackie.
All right. All right. Yes, all right, get copies of those.
Site plan still has a house on
What's that?
it. 181 house.
Oh, it still has the house on it? Well, I just put it up behind that gravel.
Thousand Road, sand and gravel. Any questions?
See what they come up with. I don't.
No. No questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, one moment. We do not accept jurisdiction over the application. We need a motion to accept jurisdiction over the application.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you're just gonna put your equipment in it, I assume?
Mm-hmm.
That's what barns are usually for.
But they're never big enough.
No, they're not.
Particularly if you're a collector.
It doesn't matter, I don't think.
Well, Steve, you're the only one downstream from them. Do you have any concerns?
Yeah, not really.
Kind of upstream, downstream,
Yeah,
sort of.
I'm downstream.
You're down, well, it's sort of, no, there's a hill in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly sure, given the great view we have of all the sand down there, that drainage isn't really gonna be a problem.
No,
So I don't think there's really any
it's,
concerns.
his lot's high on all three sides and that little bowl in there.
Yep.
I mean, he's meeting all the setbacks and all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
What?
so there's no issue there.
You got ZBA approval?
Went through the chain of commands.
Yep.
Yeah.
And jump through all the hoops.
Talk to Keith.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any questions for the applicant before we open the public session?
Well, it seems like it's already been open because they've been talking.
We have a thing we're supposed to do. All right, we're gonna open the public session. Steve?
I think it's something that he probably wanted to start 6 weeks ago, so I'm in favor of it. As an abutter.
All right. Anybody else? All right, we're gonna close the public session.
Now this barn will have power to it, is that right?
I would like to put power to it.
Yeah. Any lights on the outside?
No. Well, there might be one over the door, if I do.
Motion sensor,
Yeah,
whatever.
low light,
In dark
Dark
skies.
sky, aiming
Yeah.
down.
aiming down,
What about plumbing?
0.
Can I get a motion to approve the application?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now the easy part's done, now you gotta put tolling up.
I know, I've waited 3 months now, going
Yeah.
through the process. That's
Yeah.
all. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? Let me sign that right now. All right.
You can sign the plan, I don't have notice of decision.
You go to the second.
No, it's Monday, isn't it?
No, for that.
No, Monday, I think it is.
Oh, that's
Jack,
10 years.
could you give me a
Can't
favor?
believe that.
Could you do me a favor and put North
What are you looking for?
Arrow?
North Arrow.
There's no other.
The key is right off the
You
other
have to
side.
sign
It might be interesting to walk in,
You never let me sign it.
I know. We can do it after, we don't need to do it now.
right?
You want me to bring your plan book in?
Where do you
Bring
think?
your tax map book? Let me see that.
I gotta take my feet. I gotta take all my feet to the slot.
So Justin, I'm gonna mail you a notice of vacation, but you can take a plan tonight
And I
if you
can
want.
start ASAP. All right, thank you.
I can even email it to you if you
I'm
want.
sure you're gonna wanna do that tomorrow. In the snow.
We already started digging. So we
Ah.
got to talk to him.
Why not talk? Okay. Just put that underneath. I'll do it later.
It'd be hard getting the roof over it before the snow flies,
Right.
wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's a lot of stuff.
I'm not sure.
I
yet.
know.
Yeah, the snow isn't gonna stay. It's,
I hope not.
I think it is.
I think it is too.
It's got a little crust of frost
Lakes
and
Region PC.
the forecast.
No, period,
Yeah,
right.
20 at night, and 30 in the day,
Yeah.
35.
No.
Well, when I say it's not gonna stay, I mean, it may stay for a day or two. It's gonna-
I'll email it to you.
I don't think it's warm enough for that. If you get 8 inches, that's a warm for that.
I don't know, be curious.
I hope it does. Leave.
The ponds are frozen over in
You
places.
need to put that in time.
Usually stuff sticks around once that happens, but
Thank
who
you.
knows? Yep.
Should I call Keith and tell him?
If it thaws out again, these guys, these landscapers, will have to clean all those.
All those leaves.
They'll have to clean them all up again. Yeah.
You skipped minutes, so we need to go back once he's done.
Yep.
Oh,
Been a long week.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, not all the way yet, but
Close.
they're all pickled. It was a mad rush today. Find every shed space we
Is
could.
this one all set?
This one's all set.
Yeah.
We do have to backtrack. I apologize, I forgot about approval of minutes. And that was the last one.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Justin.
I'll be
Have a
in
good
a
night.
couple weeks.
What's that?
I'm going on vacation tomorrow for a couple weeks.
So what does that mean?
Don't come see him.
Take a lot of pictures.
Get my own permit?
Yeah. You'll be here, we just took a week off.
I know, I'm in
See
fiction.
you.
Couple weeks ago.
I should get a town job.
He's
Oh.
kidding. He's not kidding. He's trying to.
All right, guys, have a good night. Happy
See you later.
Thanksgiving.
Thank
Same
you
here.
too.
All right, minutes, did anybody see anything?
I wasn't here.
I didn't see
Like,
So far not, no.
Huh, They are, well, it was long meetings, yep. I didn't see anything.
I move you accept them as written.
You weren't here, you can't do that.
Just vote on it.
I'll move approval of the minutes.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda under action item.
When he's not here, so we can't.
Oh, because we don't have,
I mean, we could appoint you, bump you up.
That works for
I
me.
just wanna get John back here as an alternate. Can't do that until you're appointed as the chairman.
do I have to?
You've been doing very well.
Yeah,
We
but you're
like
gonna
that.
come, we're gonna change it all in March,
Okay.
in April 1st.
All right.
So we can only do the chair, or we could do vice chair, I mean, Tony has agreed to it, if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
All right, action item, appointment of chairman and vice chairman.
Do we need to move this?
I move that we elect Matt as the chairman and Tony as vice chairman.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Just a reminder, I can't do this in springtime.
Right.
It'll be back on the agenda for the first meeting in April.
All right, next up, LRPC contracts.
Okay, so I received it late today, so I actually forgot to print it out.
We put penalty clauses into it?
So, we need to encumber the funds, so, and the contract had been had lapsed. So what she's done is, I'm just reviewing it in the email, so she's changed the date as to when this is gonna be agreed upon by the Board of Selectmen. She's extended the completion date to June 30th, that was at my request.
Has she stated what she's done?
Not in this is just the contract.
Did we ask for a discount?
Did we ask for?
Yeah,
No,
she
but she
just-
has not billed us for what she has done, so, which she has worked on the land use chapter. And so basically, we've already paid 50% of the original contracted amount, so the other 50%, she just highlighted it, and it says, and the other 50% of the original amount will be paid at the completion and approval by town for all tasks in Appendix A, which is, it was, Appendix A was that outline,
Mhm.
that, Chapter 5, facilities, chapter, we've already done 3 and 4, and then the land use chapter, so. So if this is acceptable to you, then I'd like to pass it on to the Board of Selectmen for them to schedule it at a meeting so they can sign it. Once they sign it, they will hold a public hearing at some point, I think in December, to encumber any funds for, right?
No, we don't need to hold a hearing to encumber funds. We just need to.
Just need a contract.
We need.
The contract?
The
There
contract.
doesn't have to be a motion?
Huh?
There doesn't have to be a,
No public hearing.
okay,
It's money that's already appropriated, and all we're doing is binding it over for the
okay,
following year.
all right.
But we can't just do it on thin air. We have to have
When is the
something in
next
hand.
Board of Selectmen meeting?
We meet on Monday.
Oh, okay, so if I email this to her. Okay, we could get this signed.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I just need a motion that we accept the contract.
So all we're doing is revising the timetable and extending it to June 30th.
30th.
Okay, for final completion.
So no more extensions.
It better not be, because I'm gonna be down, so.
Nothing past June.
All right, can I get a motion?
I move that we accept the changes in here and, yeah, send it on to the selectmen.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, discussion items, right to know, telephonic participation.
So I included this on the agenda because since we have a trouble sometimes with meeting a quorum, it is now acceptable, this was, this, by the way, piece of paper was given out at the lecture series, the conference, the planning conference. And so now telephonic participation is allowed, so that if we don't have a quorum, we can just put them on the phone, put them here, and, right?
No, actually,
thought
when
it
when I saw this on the agenda, I was in a meeting today
Oh,
discussing right to know, and the only time that a member of a quorum can participate by phone is in an emergency meeting. So if we don't have a quorum physically at the meeting, then
not reasonably practical.
Right.
for somebody to participate, right? In other words, so members of this planning board that aren't here tonight that want to participate, as long as we have a quorum on the ground here, can participate in that meeting by phone. But
Right, quorum must be physically present.
quorum has to be physically present. The only exception to that is in an emergency. All right?
If we
So-
need an emergency
An
meeting.
emergency meeting.
I don't think the planning board
Emergency-
has emergency meetings.
Right,
Yeah,
emergency
we haven't.
meeting.
Right.
Huh?
I don't think we ever have.
No, there's any reason
So,
to.
you know, then that would apply more to the governing body, you know, if, for instance,
Board of
we
Selectmen.
can't get a quorum of the governing body together and it
Right.
has to
Or
be
the
done now.
selectmen need to release funds because of floods.
Right,
Right,
right. So, but there are conditions on, and I didn't read this particular thing, but there were 4 things that they talked about with
Is that
respect to
yours?
this.
Yeah, sorry,
Uh,
I have one. I apologize.
I can see why they have that, you know. in
Right,
case
for an
of,
emergency.
You know,
Right.
two, a
Or
selectman's
a meeting
gone.
of ours, we have enough here and then someone else has some input
Right.
somewhere else.
So, and it's, somebody was talking today about the practicality of that, and because everybody has to be identified to everybody, and it has to be audible. In other words, everybody that's in the room has to be able to hear what's the person on the phone saying, and the person on the phone has to know who's speaking so that they can follow it. All votes have to be recorded as roll call votes, because again,
Right.
you're not all in the room, you can't, so it is possible to do it, but my understanding is, for the purposes of meeting a quorum for a planning board meeting or for a normal course of business with any board or committee, it's not permissible. I will tell you that, for instance, the Milfoil Committee has members that spend the winter in Florida, and we have had, because they were interested in participating in a meeting, had them on the phone with us before, but a quorum was already in the room here. It was just, they wanted to be involved in what's going on. So that works, but it doesn't get us around having to have warm bodies around the table. As I understand it.
Well, in the unlikely event we have a planning board emergency.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Well,
Right.
Anybody have any questions about that or anything to add?
No.
Next up, discussion of availability of planning board records.
So I put this on the agenda, however, we were going to discuss it as the planning board as a whole. And Laureen had sent an email to the board a couple months ago when that incident had
Mhm.
occurred. So I'm thinking we should table it so that she can participate in
Yep,
it.
absolutely.
And if, when there's more of a full board present.
By the way, with respect to compliance with right to know, and again, this is a panel of attorneys who deal with this all the time, they re-emphasized what has been suggested before, and that is that we do not do group emails. So and the reason for that is, if you have a group email, the possibility that you can actually conduct business by email increases, all right? So when Leanne sends something out to everybody, if she just blind copies us rather than putting us as addressees in it, then the only person that we can respond to is her. So it doesn't become the reply all, and somebody else sees this and says, yeah.
Right.
So that's what they recommend, is that we not do a group email. You send it to one person and then blind copy everybody else. And you can send it to yourself and blind copy the board, and then you can put in the body of it that it's going to all board members so that everybody knows that it's gone out. But then you don't get into the serial email potential out there.
Yeah. Anybody have anything to add? Planning board membership.
And we are still looking for members. Actively looking for members. So,
Hopefully you're looking for a chairman.
well,
Fenton has actually asked to put his request back in front of the Board of Selectmen. So you'll probably see that again. Just an FYI.
yeah.
There's very few people who can one, want to do
Right.
this and have, knowledge to do that. It's,
Because eventually there might not be one.
Hmm?
Eventually there might not be a chairman, so.
I would ask that the selectmen look very heavily at that.
Okay.
All right. Are there any public questions for the planning board at this time?
When is your next meeting? First Thursday in December.
Hold on, I don't know
Fourth.
it off the top of my head.
Something like that.
I think it's the 6th.
The
6.
6th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
6th and the 20th of December.
All right.
So I do have a comment I'd like to make.
Sure.
And I'm not sticking up for anybody, planning board or individuals or anybody else, but in this whole gravel pit discussions that we've had, and if somebody hasn't used their gravel, I think the way the vote went a year and a half ago now, was that if you hadn't used your gravel pit in the previous 2 years, or filed an intent,
It was 2014 and 15, I think it was. I could be wrong on the years, but.
if you hadn't filed an
Filed
intent,
intent,
then,
that's 2 years.
then the town didn't recognize
Correct.
it as a pit.
I think the problem was the town couldn't recognize it
Yeah.
as
Oh,
an
they couldn't?
existing pit. Because we were held down by basically what the state would let us consider. I mean, believe me, I can't speak for the whole board, but at the time, it wasn't like us saying.
So
hey,
that was more of a state thing,
This
what you
was-
can and can't.
That's what she allowed us to do for grandfathering, because the only other way to grandfather was the letter in use since 1979 and the whole 9 yards. And she said by us doing it that way, 14 and 15, because the selectmen had signed those intents,
for 15
that's pretty
years.
much allowing a pit to operate. So that was the permission.
I mean, from what I remember of it, I mean, it was not at all the board, the town trying to, I mean, we were
Right.
trying to.
No, I
figure out
wasn't
how to-
saying that.
Right.
I was just,
And that's the way we
I
got
was just,
around.
I'm racking my head about the logic of the, if you didn't use your pit for 2 years, it's still a pit.
That's the same way their rules are written right now. The 155E, if you're looking at it, if a pit has not been used in 2 years, it's considered abandoned. Whether we did the intent.
Right,
or
but
not.
so I'll just use some crazy,
So for instance, in your
Revelation
city, if it
about-
wasn't done in 2 years, the town should take it off as an industrial use.
well, that's right. And rebate those 2 years that it wasn't.
But you can't rebate.
But as soon as it stops,
Right.
reclamation.
So that was one, so, I mean, in the logical aspect of it is, I didn't put my boat in the water this year.
Right.
Is it still a boat next year?
I know, yeah, yeah.
You know, some people don't live in their house this year. Do they have to come back for an occupancy permit
Right.
next year because they moved back from Florida? I mean, I just,
I'll make your comments to the boat ones.
Yeah.
And some knowledge on them. But if you didn't put your boat in the water last year and you didn't register it, you still need to go and register it for the current year, and you need to meet the requirements that exist to register that boat. So.
I did register it because we had to have the
Yeah,
mooring
you know,
permit.
But
But it didn't.
it doesn't,
Yeah, no, I was just
it's,
sitting there and I wasn't defending Michael Carlton by any means.
No.
Or
That's
the planning board as far as I
but his
can.
property should be a pit. That's.
Correct.
Yeah,
Well,
what
that's
it
the
is.
most obvious
Yeah,
one in
I mean,
town.
it's,
So, that was just my comment.
Yeah.
I was trying to say, wow, you know, because the other pits that aren't gonna do anything
Correct.
are still gonna be a pit, even though they're not gonna be used. They don't have to close them down, they don't have to do anything, they just
It's
walk
gonna
away.
sit there.
the key is to file your,
Yeah.
intent to excavate every year, no matter what you think you're gonna do.
And you have to haul some out.
Yeah, there's some,
I just moved back into my pit there a couple weeks ago and hauled some out.
I know Pike Industries has a sand pit behind us at our location on Osprey. Every
Yeah.
year they go in, they haul one load out.
Yeah. Right.
Seems like a lot of work for one load, but, they do it.
Okay, Thanks.
Anything
I guess
else?
I cleared that up in my mind, I guess, a little bit.
All right, I got a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.